Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. As always, I'm Ari here with Korea, back with another day of best bets. Let's get right into a recap. Korea won on one day for you yesterday. Won both plus 1.5, one outright win for the Pirates, 1-0. Red Sox lose. I think it was 8-3 or 6-3. What were your takeaways from your two plays the other day?
Yeah, obviously, one good read, one bad read. First, we'll go with the good read. Pittsburgh. I mean, obviously, if you took them on the money line, I only said take them on the plus 1.5. But if you took them on the money line, well, that was even some more money for you because obviously they won 1-0. So I did expect, I didn't expect a huge pitchers duel like it was yesterday. Obviously, 1-0 game. So just great pitching outing from both Jerry Jones and Glasnow. I expected Jerry Jones, at least hopefully step up. And he did. He had 6 innings, 6 Ks, 3 walks, 3 hits. Definitely was one of his better performances. So, obviously getting the better bullpen arms, guys like Aroldis Chapman out of the pen, not having to worry about, some of the, weaker arms out of the Pittsburgh Pirates pen to hopefully not cover that plus 1.5. So that was obviously a good sweat-free winner there. And the Dodgers, obviously, their bats didn't show up, obviously, even with Glass only allowing 1 run on the day. So I just thought, great pick there. The win came early on. It was a solo shot from Jack Sawinski. So we'll definitely take those as we will. I should have maybe sprinkled the Pirates money line. I just wasn't confident in their bats to really do enough, and both bats weren't really prevalent in this game. So even even with that, I really just mostly was backing the pitching, and that was the winner for us, and we got it at even money. So we got it before I think it got all the way down. I think to maybe like plus maybe almost 100 even money all the way down to minus 105, maybe 110. I saw so many people talking about loading up the Dodgers money line in their parlays, and the Dodgers minus 1.5 or whatever. And then look at that, Pirates got the win outright. So it's always we always like to talk about the mismatches in baseball, and these great spots for these big underdog teams. That was definitely a great one yesterday. Unfortunately, the Red Sox, that was a bad read. I'll get to that one real quick. The Red Sox, they could not get anything going in terms of their offense. It was all Braves, pretty much from the get-go. Their offense kind of started out with a 2-0 lead, and then, the Braves slowly, the Red Sox slowly climbed themselves back, with a home run from Smith, and then the Bobby Dahlbeck 2-run single, and then it was just all Braves after the 5th inning. Murphy, and then the killer was Ozzie Albies with that 3-run shot, in the top of the 6th to really kind of, make this plus 1.5 kind of more improbable, because once the lead gets too big for, the Braves, they usually have one of the better bullpens, so they don't really have to worry about, a team coming back potentially. And the Braves bats, you gotta put your hands up sometimes. They say, you know what, that was a bad read. That's on me. That was a bad read. I mean, Ozzie Albies, it was finally nice to see him show up. Now he's, with all this with this lineup movement, with Acuna out, seeing him now in the 5-hole, have a 2-for-4 day. You don't really expect that from a guy who's usually up in the 2-hole. So, definitely was an adjustment for me to see. But, it was definitely just a tough read for me. I'll take a 1-on-1 day. Pirates got the win outright. That was definitely a great winner to see. But the Red Sox, their offense didn't show up. Cutter Crawford got rocked in through 6. He was looking pretty decent through like the first 5 innings, and then that 6th inning came. Ozzie Albies hit that 3-run shot, and it was hard for him to come back from then. So we'll take a 1-on-1 day. Hopefully we can get that percentage a little bit better as we get through the rest of the season. But we'll always take a 1-on-1 day. On a day where I didn't really think that the Pirates were even going to show up offensively. But Ari, I think it's time to put this first 3-team total bet to bed. Is it time now?
I'm not one to like ban anything, so I don't know if there's a certain spot I like. It was one out of the way. Abraham Toro bloops a little single right in front of Luke Raley that I thought he's going to catch, but he did not attempt to put a little more effort into trying to catch it. So that was tough. He cruised through 2 innings, had 2 outs, runner on second. I think it was it was either 1 or 2. I think it was Toro. It was either the 1 or 2 there that just hits a little bloop right in front of Raley in left field. So Yeah, that was tough. And then the Padres was just a bad play. The lineup is still, um, still not doing well. They got a good outing from Mazur making his MLB debut, 6 innings, 1 run. Another game that was 1-1 late. Angels scored 3, I think, in the seventh. Padres had second and third, nobody out in the top of the eighth, and they got one of those runs in. And that was it. So yeah, tough 0-2 day for me. One out away from a 1-1 day, but I'm gonna hit one of those plays one of these days.
The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing, expecting different results. But with this, I know it's gonna come, Ari. Obviously, you've had a little bit of a rough start with these first 3 team totals. Especially last night with how that ended. It was bottom of the third, 2 outs. I was almost saying, "Oh, Ari may have finally done it this time," but obviously, when of course, something like that happens, and a little bloop that goes, obviously, as you mentioned, I think it was right in front of right in front of Rayleigh. Didn't really make the greatest effort on it, but obviously that's a tough one, especially with how Kirby was pretty much starting the game. He looked like he was pretty much just in regular form, but obviously that was just so close yet so far. I mean, the Padres. Look, I honestly thought the Padres were a good look as well, and then the bullpen came in, and the bullpen for the Padres has kind of been a little shaky at times, and as you mentioned, their offense in the top of the eighth. They had multiple chances. They left 8 men on in that game. So, the Padres, I feel like definitely were the good look. Just, their bats didn't really do anything to drive those runs in, leaving 8 men on base, stranding, as you mentioned, a couple guys in that top of the eighth, especially in a big time moment like that where you can either tie it with two on, and or maybe even take the lead. So, unfortunate 0-2 day for you, Ari. 1-1 day for me, 1-3, unfortunately. But obviously, we're going to keep trucking, keep moving on, obviously, into today's best bets. We got some cooked up for you. I got 2 for you today. First, we're going to go out to Arizona, and we're going to take the Giants here to avoid the sweep on this money line at -102. I love this play. I always love to avoid the sweep plays. And we look at they do have one more game tomorrow, but pretty much to at least try to make this series a little more competitive. I do like the matchups here. We're mostly targeting the matchup in pitching matchup wise. For the Giants, they do have Jordan Hicks. He's one of their better pitchers in terms of starters this year on the mound out of the righties because they do have a lot of lefties. But obviously now with their injuries racking up, we do probably get to see a lot more outings from guys like Logan Webb and Jordan Hicks today. And I'm going to back Jordan Hicks. Obviously, the Diamondbacks do struggle against righties. They are better against lefties. I did back the Diamondbacks, I believe, yesterday, and they did get the outright win. And they were facing Kyle Harrison, a lefty. So I do love backing the Diamondbacks against lefties. I love fading them against righties. Today they're facing Jordan Hicks, one of the better pitchers, as I mentioned, out of that San Francisco rotation. He has a 2.7 ERA. He really honestly is more of a ground. Obviously, we remember Jordan Hicks as a closer or a reliever, but now turned into a starting pitcher. He's really starting to get more comfortable. He is not really going 6 or 7 innings. He's more of a 4 to 5 inning kind of guy. So the Giants bullpen will probably have some kind of impact on this game in terms of the end. But I do like Jordan Hicks to really at least get some kind of dominant start today against the Diamondbacks, who don't really know how to hit righties well. And then going on for the Diamondbacks, they do have Jordan Montgomery on the mound. And if this was Jordan Montgomery of last year, I would be backing him. But this Jordan Montgomery this year has not really had that dominance as he was as a member of the Texas Rangers. He's still maybe trying to find his form, and you can maybe account to the fact that maybe he signed his deal so late, obviously with the whole Boras situation and him trying to find the best deal for the best market, but he just signed a little deal in Arizona. And, you can say whatever you want, but, in his last start against, in his first start against the Giants, that was on the road. He did go 6 innings, 1 run, 3 Ks. So, maybe take that as you will. They did get the win on that one, but obviously the Giants, that was on the road. And I think that was one of the games where I think the Giants were, either trying to avoid the sweep, or I think the Arizona Diamondbacks won that game very convincingly. I'm trying to remember that. But anyway, this is a long time since that start. Giants obviously a lot better against lefties. They do have their power guys like Soler in that lineup who do know how to hit, who do obviously know how to hit lefties a lot more. Soler, obviously, if you want to sprinkle maybe a little home run bet today for this, even though it's not Dinger Tuesday, Dinger Wednesday, Jorge Soler, his one hit against Jordan Montgomery is a homer. So maybe take that as you will. But we're just backing the Giants to not only potentially, avoid losing this series, outright, obviously, with one more game tomorrow, but also I'm backing the Giants, just in this matchup, facing a lefty. This is the second time they faced Jordan Montgomery this year. Even though they did get the loss in that first one, obviously I do expect the Giants to bounce back, obviously with the better pitcher on the mound. So we're just taking them on the money line here, almost even money. We're going to at minus 102. And then we're taking the Tigers and Rangers first 5 going down to Texas here, taking that first 5 over 4.5 here. We're taking that at minus 130 on DraftKings. And we're just fading both pitchers because both pitchers stink. On the Tigers side, it's Kenta Maeda, and Kenta Maeda is not the Kenta Maeda from last year, obviously, as a member of the Twins. He has had a little bit of a rocky start. He has a 6.25 ERA, one of the highest in baseball. He got rocked in his last start in Boston. Very inconsistent in terms of what you look at in terms of his starts on the season. The last time he played Texas, he got rocked. I think that was that game where it was like a morning game. It was, I believe he let up like 5 runs through 3 innings himself. So, if that tells you anything about how the Rangers do against Kenta Maeda, the last time they played him, he let 5 runs himself. So, and we only need 5 runs in this first 5 over 4.5. But I do love the other guy on the other side to fade, and it's my favorite pitcher to fade, Ari, Jose Urena. This guy stinks. Oh my goodness, this guy is, classic turkey tosser. If you want to call him that, this guy stinks, right? And I don't like the bats for the Tigers as much as I do for the Rangers, obviously. So I really mostly am backing the Rangers. I just know the Rangers obviously are a little bit priced in terms of their money line and first 5. I didn't really like any of those, obviously, but in terms of the value, I just really like runs today. With both of these games, the first 2 games being really low scoring. Yesterday, I think it was a 3-run ball game in favor of the Tigers. The day before, it was 2-1. So both unders have hit in the first 2 games. So I'm expecting runs in this game today. With Kenta Maeda, one of the worst pitchers for this Tiger staff, going on the road where he has struggled a lot more as well, against the team that he struggled against. And then Jose Urena, even though he doesn't have, even though the Tigers don't have the best lineup per se right now, I do think they maybe get 1 or 2, but I think it's mostly coming from Kenta Maeda's side. We don't need 4 or 5 for this full first. We need 5 for this first 5 over 4.5, and I think 4 of them or even all of them are probably going to come from the Rangers. So I do love that first 5 over 4.5. We're getting it at minus 130 with the Tigers and Rangers first 5 over 4.5. I'll stop rambling, Ari. What have you cooked up for this Wednesday?
So I'm on 2 plays as well. Braves and Royals. We'll start off with the Braves. Second career start for Schwellenbach, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Going up against the Red Sox and Pivetta. I've already seen the line move slightly in the Braves' favor. It went from like minus 105 to minus 112 on DraftKings this morning. Pivetta actually faced Atlanta already this season, gave up 5 runs, and I think like 4 2/3 or 4 1/3, a little less than 5 innings of work. So they've seen him. Obviously, Boston hasn't seen Schwellenbach. And he pitched pretty well in his first career start against the Nationals, 3 runs over 5 innings, which obviously, isn't bad for your MLB debut. Obviously, like we saw at your play yesterday, the Braves bats were out yesterday. They've really been struggling as of late prior to yesterday, especially since Acuna got hurt. And even when Acuna was in, they still were, not what we saw last year at the very least. So, maybe yesterday gets him going a little bit. Pivetta's ERA is like over 5 at home this year, so he's really been struggling. Really, really everywhere, but he's been a little bit better away from Fenway. It's really kind of fading. Pivetta, it's a high total at 10 runs, so hopefully maybe the Braves bats will be out again, and Schwellenbach will be able to do enough to hold Boston, enough compared to what the Braves can do against Pivetta. So that first, and then going to the Royals. who blew, I believe they were up 5-0 yesterday, and they blew that lead against Cleveland, lost 8-5. So really looking for them to kind of get back on track. Brady Singer coming back from an illness that he was scratched from his last start. And then it's kind of a bullpen game for Cleveland. I think Nick Sandlin's opening, and Logan Allen's the bulk reliever behind him. So I guess not a full bullpen game, but at least an opener. And then Allen will probably pitch anywhere from like 4 to 5, 6 innings, unless he gets hit hard, obviously. He got crushed in his last start or his last appearance, though it was in Coors. So, obviously that has a little bit to do with it. He gave up like 7 runs and not even 2 innings in his last appearance in Colorado. So really just going for the narrative of Kansas City bouncing back after blowing a 5-0 lead. Singer, it's coming off an illness, so that's a little bit of an uncertainty of how he'll look. But I believe, if I'm mistaken, this is his first start since he got scratched like 10 days ago or 7 to 10 days ago. So he's had plenty of rest. Obviously, he was supposed to start, or they said he could have started like last Sunday, but they pushed him back a little bit more. So he's had enough rest to fully recover to at least what we're aware of. So yeah, just Royals and Braves on the ML today.
Yeah, I actually think Pivetta did get one start in after his IL stint. Maybe I'm trying to think because I think he started against Detroit, but whatever.
No, I was talking about Singer, not Pivetta, though.
Singer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Pivetta. Yeah, Singer. Yes, he is coming back for his first start. If you're backing the Braves, I'm always going to back the Braves. I do love the Braves today. You mentioned yesterday the Braves bats did come out for the first time. They've been, we've been looking for them, for a little while, with or without Acuna. Now with Acuna, I previously just talked about how, the lineup has definitely had a complete alter with Michael Harris kind of now being the leadoff guy. Like even today's lineup that's already out right now, Austin Riley, in the 2-hole, who does have success against Pivetta, Ozuna as well, 4 homers against him, which is 4 homers against Pivetta. If you want to talk about sprinkling an anytime a homer over half a homer today, that's your guy right there. So I do, and you mentioned the total at 10. So I do expect probably a lot of runs coming today. But you mentioned on the other side is Swellenbach for the Braves, and even though the Braves have never he has never faced this Red Sox team. You're just kind of backing the better pitcher in the spot against Pivetta, who has been rocked by this Braves team before. So, and you're getting them at almost pick 'em. So I do love that for you. And I'm also backing the Royals today. I was also on the Royals yesterday, and don't get me started with that 5-0 lead. And then today, obviously, maybe it's just a day early. Obviously, you mentioned going for the Royals. It's Brady Singer coming off of his IL stint. His last start all the way back. Just not too far, but obviously back against Tampa Bay, where he did go 5 innings, without a run and 3 Ks. And then you mentioned for the guards today, it's more of a bullpen day with Logan Allen probably getting the majority of that bullpen time. But it is Nick Sadlin kind of leading the charge for this Guardians team. And, with the bullpen and, even though the Guardians have one of the better bullpens, the fact that Logan Allen is going to be probably getting a majority of the pitching innings today is a great sign for the Royals. Obviously, you're getting them at a plus price 1 and 2. The Royals do have pretty decent splits against Logan Allen on the season, whether it is on the road or at home. So I do love the Royals here on the money line. You're getting them at a plus money price of 105, and then the Braves as well for you. With that game starting in about 20 minutes here, I do love the Braves backing the better team in this spot here against the matchups. And then going to my 2 picks today, just backing runs in the Tigers-Rangers game, first 5 over 4.5 here. And then the Giants money line, just backing the system here, fading Jordan Montgomery, who has had a little bit of a decreasing year, and then backing Jordan Hicks, against a team that can't hit righties well. So those are my 2 picks, Ari's 2 picks as well. Obviously, you can find all of these plays on our Twitter below, AKP Sports Talk. But that is going to do it for this episode of AKP Sports Talk. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, that's Ari. I'm Korea. And I know tomorrow we got game 1 of the NBA Finals. So, of course, so much for tuning in.